Sup everyone, this is Karak from ACG, once again bringing you another review for another game, for another system, or two systems in this case, all at the speed of embargo. It's a 2-for-1 deal, and today, it's Assetto Corsa. Now, Assetto is another try-to-do-most everything racing game. It comes tearing onto the consoles after an earlier release on the PC. So as Assetto, one part Forza, one part Project Cars, one part Gran Turismo, and makes the jump to the consoles with all of those features intact? Or does it follow the somewhat worrying pattern with PC to console titles as of late, which is to show up like showing up is the same as winning? Let's do this. As always, if you like the video, maybe subscribe. So here's the review for Assetto Corsa, the world's driest racing game. Yo dog, I heard you like microtransactions. And Mike Tyson AI. Graphics are up first. Now, if there's one thing Assetto does right, it is the momentary sense of friggin' speed. I'm telling you people, that kind of speed you think only exists in video games or anime, where streamers are coming off shit because you're simply traveling so fast, the world itself can't keep up. There is a brilliance in some racing games when you're twisting and turning around corners that seem placed just to make sure you're not daydreaming, and the glow of sunlight is piercing through trees, and you're mainlining right through it. And that is when Assetto is at its absolute most brilliant. It's also very, very rare. Because really, other than some excellent overall vehicular models, the game is consistently at odds with everything within its package. See, Assetto is aiming for 60 FPS on the consoles, and the last time I heard the word aim, someone had to have their big toe sewed onto the hole where their thumb used to be. Thank you, Karak. I have learned that aiming and game technical specifications should never be mixed in the same sentence. Seriously, the game acts like it's afraid of the number 60, like it's going through some kind of digital midlife crisis and can't decide if it wants to look good or control well. You see, it just never stays very long at 60. You can actually sense the frame rates always going up to 60 or running away from it. It's actually a little bit uncomfortable to watch, sort of like the screen tearing, which is so prevalent in both versions, the PS4 and the Xbox One, that it might as well be called a friggin' feature. I mean, this is some of the worst screen tearing I've seen in any recent racing game. And it's sad because when the game is presenting itself, as I said, during those sunlit moments, it looks great, but then it moves, and as a racing game should move. But unfortunately, that's also when it falls apart. Now, you probably noticed I mentioned the sun a couple times, and that's because there's no real weather effects per se other than that. There's no rain or snow, that kind of thing. But there is a fog, or at least that's what it's called, but due to terrible layering, it looks like sheets of half-transparent goo that's been shat all over the game world by some kind of digital god pissed that the game even exists. It's terrible looking. And then, of course, at about that time, you're going to notice that the cars, for reasons unknown, and especially in replays, have this odd disconnect with the game world and look like they're floating above the racetrack. Now, does that mean that the entire game is ugly? No, but the translation from PC to console has hurt it tremendously. It's not terrible, it's just that every single good moment there is has a bad moment attached to it, and because frame rate directly impacts control and that also impacts playability, unfortunately I'm going to have to cover that in a bit as well. While the game can get 20 plus cars going at any one time in a race, even the damage model looks to be a mixture of lower than the PC structurally defined changes, as well as some kind of dip donut texture work for damage, which can look odd as hell in some of the different lighting settings. As a package, Assetto is rough as hell. Sound, music, and voice. And of course, sound is up first. Man, for every problem with the graphics, there's something excellent in the sound. It's fantastic, from the whines of turbos turboing to the crackle of gravel graveling. It is holy shit good. You can hear every single thing occurring in or around the car. Now, the first time you slam into a guardrail like you're trying to hi-fi James Dean, the crankle and crunch and deep thrum of the innards of the vehicle, bent but still trying to do their best, is sonically true, as personally I can remember as somebody who's crashed a car or two. But it's once again, when you're flying down the track at this breakneck speed and you're in one of the outside views, that the game's sound is absolutely amazing. And jumping between cars isn't just about their handling and feel. It's also about that sonic envelope that wraps you up in something almost tangible enough to catch fire just from the fumes. Anyone who has ever raced or been in a race car with an illegal amount of horsepower right now is probably nodding their heads. So let's move on. Amazing sound. Music. Dear God. You know, Fruity Loops and prom bands aren't my thing. While the synth and some of the techno bits are okay, I guess, the soundtrack is hilariously generic, but it's also barely heard, mostly in the menus and bits where you're not really trying to enter warp speed. So, while it's not great, it's also not there greeting you at every single moment, and it's not in your face. It's average at best, but really honestly, I'd say probably a bit below that. Voice. Not really any, so let's move on. Gameplay. So Assetto really is a great deal like many of the other racing games we have currently on the consoles. It offers a number of cars from various walks of racing life and a number of events like full career, online racing, practice modes, events, and a special section for drifting for some reason. While the career, at least to me, was bog standard, the events section in Assetto are damn near my drug of choice. There's something about each one of them offering something different or unique, and some just a little bit out there. And there are tons, and due to how some of them can be a little bit more difficult than I would say the normal career mode, I can see a lot of gamers spending a lot of time in the events versus the career, and it all gets spread across 20 or 25 plus track configurations. Now, first up, let's discuss control for a second. Whether on gamepad or my trusty Logitech racing wheel, the game's control was ultra responsive, with the game being completely playable in most of the inside views with the gamepad. But it was absolutely excellent in almost this exquisite responsiveness whenever I was using the steering wheel. Huge difference there. Now, this is some strong force feedback, so you got to be prepared for that, and it did require some adjustments here and there. There is this moment, though, that you realize, holy shit, I have 700 horsepower connected to this thing. And then you jump into one of the older touring cars, let's say, and it can not only be a shock, but absolutely awesome when it comes to realism, because they really do feel different. Also, since I've had the pleasure of driving a couple of the cars available in real life, I realized just how close these are to their real life counterparts via the excellent statistics used by the developers. Very, very cool. And what's great is there's a good number of cars to choose from, about 100. Sadly, right next to those cars that you can choose from are a blight, which is the store place, or DLC. For some reason, I didn't see this little icon at first, and I was shocked to see the store open up when I tried to race a certain car. There was something oddly dissatisfying with that. Now, you guys know, I don't arbitrarily hate add-ons of that kind, and I don't hate DLC, but it's right there in the main parts of the menu, and I certainly wish it was sort of separated a little bit, or the cars were grayed out or something like that. Now, once you pick a car and a track and set up a variety of choices, you're off to the races, and that's when I found out two things. One, I hate the UI. I hate it with a passion, and I quickly resorted to having nothing on the screen at all, which is really rare for me. That might also have been due to the insanely small FOV of about 60. And the second thing is that the AI puts the word artificial back in intelligence. Now, the most hilarious thing is that the PR statement said this is going to be refined AI. Remember that one time you played Forza against your friend's Drivatar? That friend of yours who thinks bumper cars are high art? Yeah, it's like that, but 24 other people. First, they drive their lines with little to no reaction to you other than to slam into you at every goddamn moment. I swear after one lap, the entire race would have been called due to multiple cases of attempted vehicular homicide. Also, I've yet to see a single time that the AI had any kind of penalize for, let's say, taking a corner too sharp or driving across the grass. I checked this. I'm not sure if it's a bug, but that just sucks. No lie, seeing one of these guys barreling down behind you means you just better get out of the way. And that's out of the way technically because it means really nothing, because they're probably going to find you and blindly slam into you anyway. Now, once you're out in front, or once the field is in front and you're trying to catch them, there's almost no rubber banding or other fakery to be seen, and every single place that's earned is earned with the sweat of your brow and some excellent hand-eye coordination, and I love that. That's, of course, when the FPS doesn't chug and you suddenly feel like you're getting ready to leap into someone's jump rope and now they're doing double dutch. See, that's the thing. For every great moment in this game, there's a moment that's hindered by that FPS, and that just sucks. Now, to talk about the online mode for a second, because a second's all it's going to need to be covered. I couldn't get into a single game. Now, what does that mean? Well, it is pre-release, so it could obviously be that, but frankly, I don't see how all of these technical problems that I'm experiencing in the single-player game are magically going to go away in the online version. So, when it comes down to it, right now, online, sort of up in the air. Fun factor. Yeah, I mean, listen, I can't lie. There are times when Assetto's amazing, ripping down those backlines, trying to gain on the pack. You're going from shadow to light again and again. You can feel that translation of the PC's technical underpinnings are actually controlling everything, even if it's in this console game. But while not a half-assed effort at all, and it's got its handling as a major kudo, at times it really feels like not enough work was put into this console version. From the severe tearing of the screen to some of the frankly cheap effects in the replays that look like someone's tutorial project on depth of field from someone's first Photoshop job. Frankly, the game is rough as hell, and due to all of these issues impacting the gameplay and its fun, its fun is actually short-lived compared to what it actually should be. The underpinnings of the much better PC title are here, but this is one time where the lesser power of the home consoles not only rears its ugly head, it takes a goddamn whomp and bite out of the entire presentation, and that's regardless of the bugs that I experienced. So as you guys know, I rate games on a buy, wait for a sale, wait for a deep sale / rent, or never touch it again rating scale. This is actually a rent. Here's the thing. The game is playable, and it's got some great moments, and a lot of these issues could be patched, but currently with the FPS issues, the tearing, and all of that, it is basically causing the game to not really shine when there is a game underneath that could shine. And until that happens, there is no way I could tell somebody to go and get this at even the normal price or certainly a small discount. It needs a major discount, and it also, of course, needs some major fixes. So anyway, that's it for me. I hope you guys liked the review. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Maybe check out the Twitter. Always follow me there. Or check out the Patreon. Or check out Facebook. And if you disliked it, give it a thumbs down. Peace out and enjoy the rest of your week.